was a chilly Saturday afternoon in London, 1948. He strode out to the wicket in front of 20,000 adoring fans. The grateful fans rose to give their hero a standing ovation, while the opposition players took off their caps and gave him 3 cheers. This was going to be the greatest cricket player of all time, Sir Donald Bradman's final innings. That much was assured when he walked out for the final game in the Ashes series. Australia was sitting on 1 for 117 and were looking to complete an unbeaten run. At that point in time, Bradman was sitting on a career total of 6,996 test runs. If he were to get just 4 more runs in this innings, he would end his career with an average of 100 runs per game, a feat that had never been and likely never would be achieved again. Facing just his second ball from England's wrist spinner Eric Hollies, Bradman pushed forward, was deceived by Googly, and was bowled between bat and pad for a duck. Just 2 balls in, and Bradman was out, having scored no runs. And like that, Sir Don's career was over, finishing with an average of 99.94, just 4 raw runs short of the elusive 100. Bradman was so close. And while they may not be as famous as Sir Donald Bradman's, many of us have similar stories of coming so close to achieving a goal and just missing out. Whether it's missing out on a job opportunity, losing a sporting match, or failing to woo a potential date, these so-called failures eat away at us, but they shouldn't. And what I hope to achieve tonight is to provide some perspective so that next time you come so close to achieving something and just miss out, you can see the silver linings. And I think this perspective can be gleaned from looking at 3 key insights. The first insight that I'd like to share is that sometimes just missing out on something can actually work out for the best. In life, it's important to consider that when you come so close to achieving a goal and just miss out, sometimes this can work in your favour. And there are countless stories and fables that try to communicate this ideology, but I think it's most helpful to look at real life examples. And many of you would have heard of the creator of the famous Family Guy cartoon show, Seth MacFarlane. In 2001, MacFarlane was due to fly home from Boston to Los Angeles on American Airlines Flight 11. His agent had told him that his flight was scheduled to leave at 8:15 in the morning, when in fact it was actually scheduled to leave at 7:45 in the morning. Having been out drinking the night before, MacFarlane arrived a few minutes late when boarding for his flight to close, and he was told that he would have to catch the next plane. And just 1 hour later, the plane that MacFarlane was supposed to be on was tragically flown into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in the September 11 terrorist attacks. MacFarlane was so close to boarding that plane, and but for a small mistake from his agent, he would have lost his life. And like MacFarlane, many other people have similar stories where a small mistake has meant that they've avoided tragedy or alternatively obtained triumph. And in fact, some of the world's most amazing creations have arisen out of small mistakes. And my favourite of these is the story of the chocolate chip cookie. In 1937, a young Ruth Wakefield was baking cookies for her guests at her roadside inn. And she was trying to bake chocolate cookies when she had realised she had run out of cocoa. Ruth improvised and decided to cut a chocolate bar into tiny pieces and mix it into the cookie dough, hoping that the chocolate would melt into the mixture and create perfect chocolate cookies, purely chocolate cookies. But to her astonishment, when she pulled the tray out of the oven, she saw that those tiny chocolate pieces had maintained their form, and thus the chocolate chip cookie was born. Now, Ruth came so close to creating a purely great chocolate cookie, but a small mistake meant that she had accidentally created something even better. And the moral of the story here is quite self-explanatory. Sometimes when something ostensibly bad happens, we don't really know what's around the corner. So don't despair. Often, when one door closes, another door opens. The second insight that I'd like to share is about persistence. Sometimes in life, we try so hard and give everything to achieve a goal only to have it just slip away and miss out. And this can make us feel deflated and want to quit. But if we back ourselves in and keep persisting, eventually something's got to give. Take Thomas Edison, for example, the American inventor. Edison was a prolific inventor. He invented many of the world's greatest inventions, including the incandescent light bulb, the first machine to record and play back sound, and the first motion capture picture machine, amongst many other things. But Edison wasn't always successful. In fact, he failed thousands upon thousands of times in trying to get his inventions to work. But he wasn't deterred. Edison was incredibly persistent. In fact, he saw failure as his greatest learning tool. It was critical to his success. So next time you get so close to something and feel like quitting, remember the words of Thomas Edison, who said, "One of our greatest weaknesses in life is giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to try again just one more time." The third and final, and I think most important insight that I'd like to share is that life is all about the journey, not the destination. In life, when you get so close to achieving something and just miss out, that's okay. It's all about the journey. And I think this point is captured perfectly in a poem called Ithaca by the great poet Constantine, from which I'll now read a short excerpt. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island. Wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvellous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. Ithaca is based on the character Odysseus' journey home to his city of Ithaca. And Constantine uses the ancient Greek city of Ithaca as a metaphor for that goal that we're all trying to reach. But Constantine wants us to focus on the journey rather than the expected endpoint as the thing that will provide a fulfilling and flourishing life. It's the journey rather than the destination that provides us, and what we learn along the way, that provides us with the most value in life. And I think Constantine is right. We get the most out of life when we perpetually have a goal that we're so close to achieving, but it's just constantly out of reach. I think this is where the drive and excitement in life comes from. In other words, the most meaning in life often comes from the search for meaning itself. So, the next time you get so close to achieving something and just miss out, consider these things. Would Sir Donald Bradman still be as well remembered today if he actually achieved his century average? Out of a so-called failure, what other opportunities might arise? What if, like Thomas Edison did, you kept persisting to achieve your goal? And most importantly, what have you learned along the way?